All right, welcome everyone. I'm Stefan Spagers. I'm the co-founder of PIMVendors.com. And in today's webinar, we're going to discuss the power of agentic AI and MCP, really looking at the practical application of all the buzzwords you've been hearing about in the AI space. Um, but before we go into that and before we do any further speaker introductions, just some quick housekeeping to get you all started. This is a session that is live, so you can interact with us, and you can do that by dropping comments in the comments section. So either on YouTube, where we are live, or on the LinkedIn channel, where we are live, just put your comments there, and I'll try to weave them into the conversation. If you have any examples of your own that you would like to share, or questions for me or for Morten, you know where to find the comment section. Now, also, we'll be sharing a recording of this on our website, pimvendors.com. That's where you'll find a lot more knowledge-based articles on, well, product data and AI, but also all the recaps of our previous webinars with Bluestone, with other vendors on our platform. You can find the different partner pages there, and you can also find ways to interact with us there. If you haven't been doing so already, follow us on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and we'll keep you posted on all the different webinars that we have in mind for you. And final thing is, we have an amazing event coming up in October with various partners already confirmed. We will have speakers from Picnic and Pandora, so the retailer in the Netherlands and Germany, plus the jewelry brand that we all love, plus confirmed solutions like Bluestone coming to showcase their solution and their customer case, it is a customer case focused event. So you will not get this usual partner pitches. It'll just be the cases that you'll be enjoying. Now, that is happening on October 6th. If you want more information, it is on productcontenteurope.com, so Product Content Europe. Hope to see you in October. I'm very much looking forward. Now, maybe first a quick round of introductions, Morten, and then I'll dive a bit deeper into why this is such an important topic to cover today, and not in a year or two. Maybe could you quickly introduce yourselves, Morten?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Morten Ness. I'm the Chief Product and Innovation Officer at Bluestone PIM. Also heavily involved in the Mac Alliance, if you've heard of that thing. And also a huge AI nerd. And Stefan and I have been talking AI for years now, and we always seem to have a fun time with these sessions. So looking forward to it.
I'm glad that you're here as the real Morten and not as a deepfake version today.
Yeah. We've done that also, the deepfake version.
But it is an interesting segue, because we've been doing these events for 3 years now, with a focus on, I would say, mostly entertainment value, right? So
Yeah.
it's the deep fakes, it's voice changing or voice copying, the music creation that we discussed last time. Still, it's great bar tricks, right? I've compared it previously to the beer drinking game phase of AI, right? So you used to have these. We had iPhones or smartphones, but we were using them. Well, we didn't have like integrated apps like Uber, who connected the payment system plus geographical location and GPS plus internet connectivity together in a killer app. You just had the beer drinking game, and it feels like these apps where you can create, I don't know, a poem that was being read by Elon Musk to the tone of a Taylor Swift song. That's that's fun. It's entertainment. But I hope we're going to discuss something else here today.
That is the plan, isn't it?
That is
there are the endless possibilities, and I think that what is interesting now is that what I want to talk about is that everyone is doing AI translations and enrichments and analysis and all that, but they're sort of missing missing what's coming. So we can talk about that part of it, but we should also segue into what's happening in the future and where where will this, yeah, I guess the era of agentic PIM take us?
Yeah. Yeah, let's start with sort of the different approaches, right? So we have, when we're talking about AI in PIM, in product information management, I think it has two sides or two approaches basically. One is the more inside out approach where you are using AI tools to increase the efficiency and the speed of the process, right? And
Yeah.
the whole product data process from onboarding, enrichment, publication has some great ways to integrate AI into that. And I think you already mentioned some like translations. Um, you could already do that with some AI. Now with large language models, you can do that with better instructions and culturally aware and contextually aware. So hypothetically, the results are better, but it's definitely faster than what it was before.
Yeah, I mean, you have the different sort of, you have some steps here, right? So the first thing that happened was that everyone, when GPT 3.5 came out, everyone started looking at ways of using this, and you had like this manual way of using these tools. So basically, you could, make a description, make a translation, blah blah blah, and then paste it into PIM. So the first tools were like very crude, sort of paste, use this, use that,
Yeah,
and then later we implemented also sort of templates into this, right? So that you could have AI templates and you could use the templates in yeah, so you didn't have to reinvent the prompts that you did and all that. And now the step that came, I guess, last year was that you automated that. You put the templates into rules engines, right? So we have that where you can sort of automate the templates. So when something happens, an event happens in the system, then that can trigger this translation template or
yeah,
this enrichment template, blah blah blah.
yeah.
But that is also still just talking about doing things that are very um, basic in my mind,
Hmm.
because the real power is when you start using AI within the system itself. So that means that, and I'll make some show, or I'll showcase this a little bit later,
Yeah.
but where you have AI actually using the system and actually becoming agentic and actually using the features in the system, and that's where the fun starts, right?
It's, I'm well. The beer drinking game was fun as well, but yes, this is where the fun starts, and also where the value accrues, right? And I think you're right in saying that this is pretty new. Like it's 6 months ago that we got the true agentic revolution, and I think we're sort of in the middle of it, where the capabilities, the model capabilities are there, but that sometimes the tooling isn't there yet, and we're definitely going to touch that. Um, maybe starting with that, I think what we see now in practice is exactly what you're describing. Like people are using ChatGPT in a copy paste fashion, or they're doing some simple integrations into very small pieces of their workflows. And you can do that on different layers in the architecture, right? You can do that on like the pure description layer, like doing translations that happens in the description layer, and that's great. You want your products to be visible on SEO or do your generative engine optimization, geo, and to have your product surface there, you need to have, well, high quality product data and rich product data. So having those attributes filled in, having them translated to the right languages, that's important. I think what's one level below that is the schematic setup of your product data. So making sure that it is embedded in a web of context, basically. So that could be done through technical JSON schemas from schema.org, but it could also be done through relationships like spare part relationships or user generated content. Those richer contextual layers that you want to add on top of that. And that's, I think, where most of the market is right now. When I talk to people about AI, they're using it to connect this, to help them with better descriptions. That's where the discussion and where the action is taking place. But I think what you're describing and the future we see in front of us is where the layers below that come into action, right?
Yeah.
So if I would describe that's two layers down. That's one is the API or MCP layer. Like, how do you get that product data actually out there? And then the final layer would be the actual IT architectural layer, like which tools come into play, which PIM, which DAM, which MDM, which ERP system, which ecom system. And you already mentioned the Mac Alliance and headless tools, composable commerce. That is definitely one of the factors implementing how you set up that infrastructural layer. And I think, and we're going to get back to this, but the key, the mistake, but it's an easy mistake to make, is thinking you should focus on the first two layers and forget the third and fourth layer, like not spend any time or money or attention on these layers, where actually you can do an amazing job on the first two layers. But if you're not surfacing it right, or if the IT tooling architecture is not serving that workflow, you're gonna hit a wall pretty soon. So yeah, let's see how we can tie that to
Uh,
some exciting demos.
Yeah, I think it's interesting just to comment on what you're saying, because we can't talk about that without talking about agentic commerce, right? That has been,
Right.
agentic commerce is making PIM great again. Sort of, it is fantastic for the PIM vendors, because now product information quality actually matters, right? An agent in an agentic commerce situation will score you or evaluate you based on the quality of your product information. So that means that you have to get your ducks in a row first. It's always been like that, but I mean, people are very forgiving. We don't we can fill in the gaps, and we when you have missing information and all that. But an agent is ruthless. It scores you based on sort of the completeness and the yeah, the quality of your product information. So that's sort of what sets this whole story up. And then you have the whole thing about the tools and the things that help you.
Yeah.
And then the most interesting thing that I'm talking about now is sort of the future, because we're so into this. It's moving so fast that we have enough just coping with what's happening right now. So we're not able to lift our heads. But what's happening next is even more insane, right? Because basically what we're saying is that uh, our PIM is becoming an agentic toolbox, right? And why would you need to log on to Bluestone PIM UI? I mean, some users will need that, um, but the vast majority of usage will be agentic, right? It will be automated. It will be, of course, in the beginning, human in the loop, blah blah blah. But the whole thing that we're setting up, and what is super important now, if you're in a situation where you're choosing a PIM or looking at a PIM, you need to look at that part, because that is what's happening next, and it needs to sort of play well into that, yeah, that whole the coming era of agentic commerce and agentic PIM.
Yeah, you're totally right. The whole reason we're having this discussion is not just um, because AI tools are cool, but also because search is changing, commerce is changing. I think 60% of customers have used AI search in the past month. Um, Google just launched the AI overview for 100% of product searches. So from now on, and probably like the European countries will be later in this rollout, but all your product related searches will face an AI overview. Google will not include your product if it doesn't score well on all the layers we just discussed, like the description, the schematics, the
The
relationships,
schematics also, yeah,
the
yeah,
API
yeah.
surfacing, and then finally where that all comes from. So you're just skipped. You're invisible for Google and for all the other LLMs who
Exactly. Yeah, right.
work in the same way. Um, and that you cannot solve that with perfect descriptions. It does help, but you need to have the technical stuff um, bolted down as well. You need to have that in the right place. And I'm very, like, on the one hand, I see the whole market still very much busy with how can we copy paste into ChatGPT and make that process a little bit more efficient, while actually the search engine market, the traffic market is already two steps in front of that. Which that gap that is there is, I think, um, something you can now jump into. Like, big companies, but also small companies are not there yet. They're still working on enrichment through AI and translations, and don't touch our IT architecture because any change is going to take 3 years. So we don't want to do that. To, well, actually, when your customer searches on Google or an LLM, they're already getting the new experience. Um, that is a gap. That is a gap that you can now fill by making the right choices in your architectural setup. And it's going to be a sea change. Like, it's you're invisible. You're either visible or invisible, right? It's
Yeah,
not
it's
like
very
you're on,
binary, right?
it's binary. You're not on page 2 or 3. Like, it's, yeah, 1 or 0.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we've all been there on page 2 and 3 in Google and looked at stuff. An agent doesn't do that. Well, it knows it. It knows, page 1 through 17, but it doesn't care about anything but, you know, what's at the very top. So it's ruthless. And I did a talk in Stockholm yesterday, and we talked about the fact. Well, I got a question from the audience, and they talked about, well, what do you do about when you get rating and reviews and things that you don't like? I mean, we've been able to sort of hide that or push that away, or you know do stuff and avoid things and do sneaky stuff. I mean, the only choice you have right now is to deliver quality, because I think an agent will see right through any attempt of, if you have like a you know Black Friday pricing strategy, raising prices before and then dropping it at the end. Well, it takes an agent nanoseconds to see what you're doing, right? It won't
Yeah.
bite or any cool, tricky marketing thing that you're doing.
No,
Um,
right. And I mean, like, even if you ask it for, I don't know, um, the best, whatever you want to put in there, like the best drill or the best whatever, it is not going to surface some sketchy Instagram brand that, um, like, you're just going to be invisible.
yeah,
I'm very curious how that is going to.
I
I
mean,
mean, it is
but
already
at the same time, this is early. Like we're talking about it as it's happening right now, but I mean, it will still be years until we're there. But the thing is that I don't think you can like do the ostrich and put your head in the sand, because this is happening so fast, and suddenly you'll have this Kodak moment, right? Where suddenly everyone is bypassing you because you're looking the other way. So if you're into workflows, or where you're manually or using AI to do translations and enrichment and blah blah blah, and that's your focus and how to make that thing more and more efficient, you're missing the point, because an agent is going to do that. It's it will fix that like 2 years from now. That's not how pimming is done, right?
I mean, you're right. It is, like, in a way, You have to start now because the world has already changed, right? So the search world has already changed. People are using LLMs more and more. There's going to be agentic commerce on top of that. Right now, we're just discussing, is your product going to be surfaced, and is someone going to make a conscious decision for one or the other? I think in 3 months from now, or maybe 6, or maybe 12, but pretty darn fast, we'll have agents actually buying stuff for you quickly, because I don't want to know or do a night of research on the best pruning equipment for in the garden. Like, that's not me. Maybe someone else has a very opinionated view on that, and needs to do that full evening of research. That's fine. Um, so that is happening at lightning speed, while at the same time architectural changes in the organization and process changes in the organizations are moving at glacial speeds. Um, and I think that is why we need to act now, right? You're right that this is not going to change overnight. But the codec moment is already developing. Like, there are going
Yeah,
to
it's
be a lot of
there.
codec moments. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there, and that's what people need to realize is that yeah, um, you need to be aware. You need to start thinking about this because it is really mind blowing what's going on, and yeah, I think that both you and I we use so much or so many AI tools and stuff like that, so we're in the midst of it. But I had a good example of a colleague of mine who's never he used to be a coder, right? And never tried vibe coding until 3 weeks ago, right? He was absolutely blown away, right? Because he had never like really tried it. He was like, yeah, blah blah blah, whatever. But now now he's tried it, and he was like, I think it changed his worldview views quite quickly. So that's the point: is that you know, try these things and you will see. I mean, I have some fun. I have one fun example also that made my day now, made it more efficient. It's more of what we usually do, Stefan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Sure.
use something called Whisper Flow now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, do you use it? It's just talking about efficiency here. I'm not going to derail the whole thing,
No, 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 no,
but
no. I have it installed, but
you-
I just never get to talking to it. Yeah. Can you explain
well,
what it is, maybe for the audience? Yeah.
well, this is we're on the side, but it's relevant. Trust me.
Mm, mm,
The point is that I find myself in a situation all the time where I sort of hate this 150-year-old input device, right? It's not efficient. It's actually made to be inefficient, right? Because the point was that in the machine, the actual striking of the mechanism
yeah.
wasn't going to be too quick, right?
Yeah.
So that is the thing. So I looked into actually like stenography because that's quite interesting, but that's going to take you freaking 2-3 years to learn how
Yeah.
to do that quickly. um, but what whisperflow is basically just speaking. But the cool thing is that, as you can hear when I speak, there is a lot of us and us and no, we like you and likes and stuff and things that you. So it needs to extract the the essence,
The
right?
bullshit. Yeah. Or the
Yeah,
extract the
yeah, it
right
needs
stuff.
to
Yeah.
cut out the bullshit and then
Yeah.
extract the essence, and that's what whisperflow does, right? So it basically just it's the voice to text AI, but it understands what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And and you just activate it with one key. um it's not perfect, but it's I mean, it's insane.
How do you use
I'm
it,
gonna
Morten?
have
Like, do you just use it for transcription, or do you have it do tasks? Can it do tasks?
I have not, like, this is new for me, so to be honest, I've not tried it that long, but what I use it for is maybe we should just put this in the chat, or
Yeah. Yeah. I'll copy
um
it into the LinkedIn.
or copy it in. I'll put it in the chat here so you can help me out. But No, but basically it is fit for purpose on the voice to text thing. That's what it does really, really well. But the point is that when we talk much faster than we can write, right? So that is, and it's much closer. So we don't have the neural link yet, and I don't
No.
think we should, or maybe down uh, down the line I would want a neural link,
Yeah.
but in the meantime, it's pretty cool what's happening
Okay.
there.
So in this similar vein, and then we'll head on over back to sort of um, how you can use this in the product data space, but
In the PIM, yeah.
in the PIM space is um, you've seen probably the announcement of Andrej Karpathy joining Claude, right?
Hmm.
Maybe not. He has some history in the machine learning, reinforcement learning space, having worked for I think all of the major players in the past 5 to 10 years. He has a very interesting sort of way to combine notes and sort of create an own wiki for himself that he then can trigger using the different AI tools as context, right? So um, your whole life is basically just a database, and turning that into Obsidian nodes, Markdown nodes using Obsidian, and then linking them together in a topical sense and having AI write them or rewrite them based on the input you provide gives you sort of this personal AI assistant or coach or data set and next to it. It's sort of the input for your Claude work or co-work, right? So
Yeah.
it is the full context of your life or your professional life, if you wish, which you then can use as input for all the things you do with AI to make it more personal, more you.
And that's a perfect segue actually to
Right.
what we're going to talk about next, because that is what's happening, right? This is what's happening out there. Is I can see that the dashboard of Claude and GPT and Gemini, but mostly Claude, um, is something that I spend more and more time with, right? And it's my go-to daily thing, and I want everything to be connected to that. So what you're talking about there, organizing your day. Well, what about my PIM? What
Mm,
about my product information? I want that also to be able to interact with that system, and that's exactly what we've done, and that's exactly what Bluestone's, you know, the strongest point of Bluestone is, because everything in Bluestone is available through APIs, right? And everything will be. We're building MCP tools for all these. We have 70-ish now, but still building. There is also this problem with context. We are not handling too many tools at the same time, so we're trying to follow the development there really, closely.
yeah.
But that's what's happening, right? Because in the future, you will, if you have, let's say you have like a new supplier coming in with a new range of products, and then I can basically then use uh, my Whisperflow app to and talk with it in the car and say, look, I have a new Excel sheet from a new supplier in my inbox. Find that and please upload it to Bluestone. Run the AI enrich until it reaches 100% completeness. And when it's done, please publish this to the Shopify channel,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And people thinking like that is like so far away. That is like almost possible right now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We can see where this is going.
Yeah.
That's where it's going. It's gonna be like that.
Yeah. No, it's exactly like this. Like you have a meeting with someone, you decide the 3 action points, and then you just say, okay, execute action point 1 and 2, and remind me of the third one tomorrow. And it starts doing this. Like if it's indeed connected to an MCP server, you can start uploading the new products already and start enriching them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Should we
Yeah.
show people
Let's uh, show them something.
what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay,
because
I'll try.
yeah, because I think it feels very much abstract and future minded, and I think in a way, yeah, you need to really use this to really start appreciating, like you mentioned, the change that this will imply. And I sure hope not that this is a generational thing, right? Where I will spend my years working in the old-fashioned ways. But I'm very curious how your colleague who just discovered vibe coding 3 weeks ago, how his approach differs from, I don't know, someone just coming out of university and working on a side project, which she developed in the evenings, and has been vibe coding for the rest for her whole sort of development career, right? And
Yeah.
I'm very curious how this also will happen in other work environments. But let's see.
Yeah, that is a good question. Well, nobody knows, and I mean, what struck me, I was in Toronto 3 weeks ago, I think it was, and tried to talk with the like the cutting edge people, the people who really should know what's going on, and they're all basically like everyone is looking at each other and going, okay, what are you guys doing about this? Well, I don't know, we're trying this. Okay, let's, I mean, nobody knows yet, but there are some clear signs of where we're going, and one of them are, this is this MCP story, like, and the power still of the headless APIs. If you have that foundation of like being truly API only, and everything is available through APIs, you have a huge advantage. And what we've done here is just to show, and this is not unique at all, but I've connected to our Bluestone PIM MCP server here. This is the lab server, and I can just tell Claude basically now to show me all the catalogs in Bluestone, and of course it will trigger the tools. It's understanding that it does that, and it will take some time. And this is okay, not that not that
Not
bad,
that long.
not that long.
Claude is sometimes very slow
Yeah.
nowadays, but that's a personal frustration shared by everyone using Claude. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I did I used Opus for this. Probably should have used Haiku for this. Would have been much quicker, but it shows a point, right?
yeah,
And I can now drill into this. I can compare. I can find all the products. I can do a lot of stuff directly from Claude, right? And this
all
is
right.
so interesting, right? Um, but then I'm not going to go too deep into that part, but we could uh, dive into that also. But I would like to share my other screen here to show what's going on in the Bluestone PIM side of things,
Mhm.
because the cool thing is that we're using the same same MCP tools on both sides. So if you're external, you have access to the same things that you have access to internally. The only difference is that the internal MCPs or the internal agent also has the UI that it can work with.
Mm.
So I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna share my screen again. Hopefully this one. Okay. So what we have here is to set up our internal agent. And the cool thing with Bluestone is that I can configure as many as I want. I can we've said we're agnostic. We just set up the three big ones here, but any um, LangChain supported LLM can be used, even internal LLMs. So if you have made your own LLM, like some of our largest clients have,
Mhm.
then that is also available for you. And then once you authenticate, you can also get the tools that are available for you, and these tools are connected to the agent. And this is like the face of the agent is what we have here. um, and basically this, I can ask it here, what can you do for me? And it's whoops, here is what I can do. Okay, tool execution. I was just wondering why it was executing
Yeah,
tools.
Yeah. See.
It's working in different ways,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is what it's capable of doing already, right? And the cool thing is that it's also um, uh, uh, doing things in the UI, so it's working in the UI. So if I ask this like this question, find all in the laptops category, it will go out, and it's a little bit slow now because it's triggering a lot of tools. But the point you'll see is that oh, it found multiple ones, so it's triggering more tools. It found in different in different contexts.
Yeah.
So it's triggering all these tools now to get the context, and eventually it will also then um, trigger the UI. There
Right.
we go. So there we go.
Okay.
So yeah.
The agent
So it's
updated
actually,
the UI. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that is what we're talking about here, which is like the big thing that is happening here is that um, these tools now, they will also manipulate the UI itself and do things in the UI, and they can do it from an external place.
Yeah.
So you basically you can be a human in the loop and verify within the UI. Does this look good? You know, it can pull up that kind of thing. But eventually, once you start to trust this whole thing, it will um, it will basically, you know, be very automated.
Yeah. It's like Claude Code, but then for product data, right? I think that that is maybe a helpful analogy. Like at first, you also just checked the code and you had like a human in loop, but you also have developers or whole teams that just talk to Claude all day and deploy the code and maybe have an agent check for the integration testing and the quality assurance, but that's it. Like
Yeah.
they don't type themselves, they don't even work in an IDE maybe, well, except maybe for the cloud code environments. But it is uh, it is a definitely a change, and I think what you just showed is also the evolution of the chat interface, right? I think I always found the integrating a chat into PIM or into a product, into a tool at all, like everyone was rushing to integrate ChatGPT, but you could just chat with your data. That was not very helpful. I think now the paradigm shift is that you can actually have that agent do stuff, right? And I think that's
Yes.
super cool.
That is the
Um,
biggest difference.
and I think it's also important to note that this is a real life demo of a tool actually doing things, right? And having actual capabilities instead of just those pure chat agents that you see all the time,
Yeah,
right?
and that is the biggest difference here. So, um, and I just want to talk about this concept here. We this is
Can
what
you
I'm
zoom
actually.
in a bit, Morten, for the audience at
Oh
home?
yeah, I
Yeah.
can. So
Yes.
this is what we call Bluestone Labs. So this is a concept. This is what I'm building it on. It's not, you know, it's for developers by developers kind of thing. Um, but basically, what we have here is that we have the MCP server capabilities here, and this is open for everyone. This is just you know, if you have uh, this is open on our webpage. So the way I've set up Claude Desktop is basically just following these steps and authenticate, and then I can start looking at the tools and working, and we have examples of how you can work with it. And that was my next example. What I wanted to show you is that based on this, I'm thinking that yeah, let's zoom a little bit again. But the point is that SaaS is becoming a toolbox, right? And because all of our backend APIs are available, I can basically build a new UI in an afternoon on top of this. So what I've done here is that I've made a skill, a Bluestone PIM UI development skill, and this I can call directly from Claude, and then I
Mhm.
can make these UIs. So this is just Claude code using the Bluestone PIM MCP servers, and uh, we can make fit for purpose UIs for everything. So the first thing I made was, let's see what an AI PIM could look like. So this kind of thing where you can like show all products, right? And this is actually calling, like, this is actually happening. Like, this is a product, you know, it's a PIM. And I
And
can
it
I can even go in here and I can edit the data, right?
and
Or
this
I
this
can,
this UI was built by Claude
it's
for
built
you.
by Claude on top of Blues and PIM.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
and it's this is a lighter and more easy UI to use, right? You don't have the big heavy, um, you could have a welcome screen that looks like this instead of the Blues and PIM kind of maybe intimidating
All the knobs and whistles
UI,
and categories
all the
and
knobs and
tabs and
whistles.
all the yeah,
And you
yeah.
can just hear, what do I want to do? Well, I want you to run a quality report. So let's do that. Okay, we have some bad quality here on some of the products. Let's click on that. Okay, what's going on here? Let's do an AI enrich on this and see if that helps. Okay, cool. Let's apply the suggestions, right? This kind of thing is happening, right?
Martin, I see you clicking way too much. You should just be talking with Whisperflow, not
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you get where this is going, right? And then I have made a data view because you need to know the truth, right? So you need to have the view of your data. And I also made a DAM. And these are just simple prompts made in a few, back and forth. Uh, but it's actually using the the Bluestone PIM backend, and that's what's possible with the true API first PIM.
how important is that step? Because I don't see it too much happening in practice yet, but there are going to be, or there are already people vibe coding their own PIM
Oh
on
yeah,
their addicts, right?
I've done that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what was it? Redstone, right?
Yeah,
And
I made Redstone, and Redstone version 2 is this is the first commercial for Redstone version 2 is coming out in June.
okay, okay. I'll invest in that. Um,
Yeah.
but um, but no, no, no. We don't see them too much yet, and I'm wondering why. Like, why isn't there any lovable PIMs, or why aren't people building these PIM solutions in an afternoon?
Yeah. And I can, that's one of the things that I mean, any CPO or CTO out there that don't do this, I don't understand what the hell they're doing.
Mm.
Vibe code your own system and try to see what the thing is. I've vibe coded a PIM. I've vibe coded several PIMs now, and I've seen why it's what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
And the truth is a little bit scary. The truth is that if I was a vendor that needed a PIM, and I had 2,000, 3,000 products, 2,000 products in a language or two, I would vibe code my own PIM, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. Luckily, our one of our largest clients, H&M, for example, they have 1 million products in 160 languages and contexts. So it's 160 layers times 1 million, right? And that complexity is so far out of reach for vibe coding. Of course, that will also, you know, be
For
fixed,
now.
but I think that it's not worth it, and that's why I have what I have on my screen now. SAS is becoming a toolbox because it's not worth the tokens to make a PIM that is actually scalable to that extent that you actually need for a proper enterprise global PIM. I mean, it's going to cost you so much in tokens that it's not even worth, and it's too complex. It's much cheaper and easier to just rely on people who know what they're talking about and using their toolbox and calling their toolbox, and that's where we're going, right?
But build on that what you do need, right? So your sales managers don't need to see the whole multi-layer complexity of all your product data. They just need a catalog for their customers. Let
Exactly.
them.
And that's what this is, right? So, I have, like, if you're a product manager, I just vibe coded a thing here, for your structure, and then you can go in here and look at your catalog for you as a product manager, and you can see that, okay, I have some gaps here, and I have some critical gaps. Let's go into this and click here and see, what's missing. Item number here. Okay, let's add that, and let's add a material. This is pasta, so um, pasta material, you know,
Sure.
and it's saving that and updating, and now it's on to next. Okay, now it got a new score. The pasta got a new score, so it's better. I mean, this is not even the future. This is now.
Yeah.
We can build custom fit for purpose UIs for each and every persona. One of what I want to tell you a quick story there. A guy I met in Toronto that I talked about. He said that what they'd been at a company offsite, small sales team, 7 people. They were assigned a backend developer who had made a CRM backend. What their goal was as sales people was, during 3 days, to vibe code a front end CRM.
Hmm.
And he told me that he'd been in sales for 27 years. He had never had a better CRM,
Hmm.
right? That's that's where we're going. UIs are becoming, the new thing. Or even if you have, like, this is vibe coded at the airport yesterday, just a prompt before I left. It would be cool to have a mobile view for this, where you could, like, scan a QR code or something,
Yeah.
right?
But
So
I mean, this is actually a question from the audience, from Andy, who says, "Does this front end design ultimately end up with no user experience or user from the SaaS? Everything becomes a set of APIs, MCP with a coordination layer." I think that question is answered. Um,
well, it is a good point, right? What's happening now? I mean, I don't have all the answers, and I mean, what about UX and UI? That is a skill that, that's a profession. Can we just trust Claude with making things that are, um, you know good to work with? But the thing is, once you start doing this, you'll see that, yes, it can, because if you don't understand how it works, just redo it and do it in a way that works for you.
yeah.
So it's like UI on demand.
UI designers are going to build UI elements that you can license,
Yes, of
but
course.
not the full user interface anymore.
No,
Yeah.
it's composable components, I guess, that will be used. But I don't see SaaS or PIMs going away, because, trust me, I've spent the last decade building a global enterprise PIM. It is a headache and a half. So I don't think that part is going away, but the way you use it is very different now, and it's becoming a toolbox, and I'm fine with that, because that's the way we've always thought about it. We always thought about headless in a true fashion, that headless was the way to go. And this is what we're seeing now. This is true headless, not the 2017 version of headless or the 2018 version of headless. This is like the actual stuff.
Yeah, and I think it never made sense to build a user interface into another tooling for a PIM, or create a specific. Well, headless is great, but you still need to create the user interface, so that is
Yeah.
still then work that needs to
Mhm.
happen. with Cloud Code, and especially with the integration, with the MCP integration, it is still work, but it's so much easier that indeed in an afternoon or even in an hour you can craft something that does everything your customer service agent needs. Or even there's a special whatever, there's a special week where you're doing something special, a special promotion, you need to have a user interface to do some small things with your product data just for that week, and you set
Yeah.
it up. It's yeah, it's almost for free, which is
It's
great.
almost free, but it's not. I mean, I'm not claiming that this is problem free. I mean, you will have a lot of things that are potentially wrong, but at the end, what I find appealing about this story is that the APIs that feed this story are there. They're verified, they're scalable, they're solid. The security is built in, so so sort of the foundation is there, and you can't mess that up because you're just using it. um well, with some moderation, I'm sure you can mess that up also, but yeah, I mean, that it's a very interesting development.
That's for sure. I think Andy has a follow-up question. So his concern is when creating a user interface, so when vibe coding a front end, basically vibe coding a user interface, um, he says there needs to be a set of contracts to really constrain the user experience on demand, which I think in a way was already what you were saying. Like there needs to be, yeah,
I mean, the APIs and the usage capabilities are set. So, for example, if you use Bluestone, then these contracts are set through the limits of the APIs, the usage limits that are set up, and also the security that are built into the APIs. So, in a way, the RPS, for example, is if you need more RPS, you can buy more RPS, of course. Uh, yeah. So, in some sense, uh, it's somewhat taken care of, but I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm just saying that this has to be the way it's going, and I'm sure future us will figure this out. That's what I'm claiming.
let's
Future us will fix it.
provide them the tools and see
Yeah, I
where
think
they
that
take it.
that's where we're going. Future us will come up with something smart to, but I share concerns. Of course I do, and I'm not claiming that this is a enterprise scale kind of thing yet. But the thing is that this wasn't even possible before Christmas, right? So
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah. No, it's. I mean, the thing is, yes, it was possible, but you had to have a low code environment and you had to understand how to create user interfaces and how to connect that to the headless environment, and like, okay,
Yes,
define what was possible, but what was
exactly.
possible was not doing
It
this in
was.
an afternoon with Claude Code. Yeah,
Yes, for a novice.
yeah,
My I started talking too much 15 years ago. Stopped coding. I haven't really coded anything of value in the last 15 years until 2 years ago, 3 years ago when I started vibe coding.
yeah.
And suddenly now I'm like, I'm back, baby. That's that's the way it is. But I realize the limitations there, and also I share the concerns. But I mean, it has to be the future. It just
Yeah.
has to be.
I think that's actually a great place to end the conversation. The building the tools for future you to use and experiment with, and the whole wide world to share and experiment with. I've shared the labs.bluestone pim link,
Cool.
and I think there will be some people playing around with it after this session.
Yep.
You're already uh, getting good feedback in the chat. um, I would say if anyone has any questions for Morten or for me or for anyone, drop them into the chat and we'll pick them up later today, reach out to us directly on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find Morten and me on there. And I hope to see you soon. Morten, thanks a lot for joining us today. Is there any place you would recommend people start when they want to explore further?
To explore further, I mean, it's a hard. I get that almost every day, that question, but I think that it doesn't matter where you. I mean, you just have to start somewhere, and don't give up in the first. Um, yeah, but start talking with Claude about this. And I mean, if you're curious about or you don't understand what you're doing, well, say that to the AI. That it will start to learn to know you, and it will start to like. If you're just curious and start asking questions, you will, eventually it will help you come up with the right questions that you're actually wondering about, and it will help you resolve and figure out what you're actually trying to do or what your questions are. So, I mean, use UI to use UI, or sorry, use AI to use AI. Yeah, through the
Yes.
UI. Yeah,
Yes, to
that's it.
build user interface.
To
Okay,
build.
we're there. We're back.
We're back.
No, I think no, but I fully agree with you. Like, and I think in a way, even if you tried it 4 months ago, try it again today,
Oh yeah.
because the ecosystem is also changing so rapidly and adopting to this. So, I launched an app this Monday, which I vibe coded over the weekend. It was a longer weekend, but still, over multiple sessions, just chatting with Claude. And then I had to deploy it. I never deployed an app as like this, so I needed some help from the tooling, and it gave it to me. And of course, you always have to be a bit careful about copy pasting commands into your terminal. But hey,
Yeah.
but anyway, nothing happened. Nothing bad happened this time. But just try. Indeed, I agree with you. If you're a CPO or a CTO or CIO, start doing this right away, and just experience how it is working. And then I think what you're doing is right. Build the tools for future you. I think that is sort of where build the foundation where that future
Yep.
world is built on. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Glad that we got that
Thanks.
nailed down. Thanks a lot, Morten. Thanks again, and I'll definitely speak to you later. For the audience as well, thanks a lot for joining us and interacting with us today. I hope you had a blast. Um, Please do follow us on LinkedIn and join us in Nieuwegein in October when we have the live event. You can buy early bird tickets now on productcontenteurope.com. And see you in the next session. Have a great day. Bye bye.